Well, I hope it's recording. Let's get into this. Episode 232 of the Constitutionals podcast. Theme song coming at you. I've never done that before. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Here we are, episode 233 of the Constitutionals podcast. I believe I did a little preamble at the beginning of this show that said 232. We'll see if I included it. Also, if you hear diners, drive-ins, and dives playing on the TV, that's exactly what's going on. 233, here we are talking about this week's news that happened in the trades or in the entertainment business industry, or even sometimes the business industry if it has just a little bit of effect on the entertainment business industry. What's going on this week? Nothing. Just got a haircut. And what else did I do? Nothing, truly. Oh, you know what? There's a sale. If you have Target Circle, I urge you to check it out. Great sales. 40% off of video games is what they had. I bought Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Mario Superstars. So it's the highlight of my day today. And we'll see where it goes from there. Although it is 3:30, so probably nothing's going to happen. Hey, let's get into this first story. This comes from Variety, written by Jennifer Moss, M-A-S. HBO Max and Discovery Plus will be combined into one platform. What everybody in the world probably would have pointed to at just even hearing that one company is going to buy another or merge with a merge with a number. This is exactly what anybody could have said was going to happen. Obviously, HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to become one platform. I believe Discovery Plus was growing at a pretty decent rate, pretty decent clip. But HBO Max is the name that people recognize. When people hear Discovery, they probably think of Discovery Network instead of Discovery Networks, which encompasses TLC and Food Network. I'm watching that over there, and the like and such. So it's an interesting proposition. I think it's a smart one, obviously, and there's no telling when that'll happen, but it will happen. Right now, it is probably going to be as Discovery CFO Gunnar Wiedenfels, who is going to serve as the CFO for the newly combined Warner Bros. Discovery. As Gunnar suggests, the first step during the integration will be some form of bundling, which is how I can describe this show. Some form of bundling. Okay. And so we're going to see something along the lines of Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. You know what? And in the same vein, I can see ESPN Plus being phased out and being turned. Well, you know what? and in that respect, I can see Hulu being phased out and being melded into Disney Plus. But there's so much, Disney Plus this week on the 15th, they got the Marvel Netflix shows, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and the Defenders, which they all melded into the Defenders, that limited series, which was supposed to be a multiple seasons, but I guess it didn't do well enough. And then Punisher, which they include in the Defender series for some reason. I don't know. I've only seen the first season of Jessica Jones, and I've only seen 3 episodes of Daredevil, so I have no idea if Punisher feeds into that at some point. I think he should, though. But it's, those shows are very TVMA rated, and for the money, I thought they would head over to Hulu. I thought that's where they would be, but obviously they want to keep all this MCU stuff in the same vein, in the same worlds, I guess, in the same platform. So they move all that, they moved those Netflix shows over to Disney Plus, and now they have parental ratings things on Disney Plus, where Disney Plus was supposed to be for families, Hulu was supposed to be the adult thing, and ESPN Plus is supposed to be the sports thing. But now a lot of ESPN Plus stuff, a lot of 30 for 30s, a lot of sports docs are on ESPN Plus, a lot of, or excuse me, are on Disney Plus rather, and a lot of all of ESPN Plus can be viewed on Hulu, and then there are some things from Hulu that lived on Hulu that are now sharing bi-coastal lives on Disney Plus. So, it's as much as these companies want to build some type of synergy, they also are pointing in an area of where where I think it's going to eventually go, where we're going to have 7 apps instead of 15, 14 apps, and everything's going to be merged into one. So and I think this is a bad idea, but CNN Plus should have been molded into HBO Max. I think for everything, but CNN Plus launches next week, and I'll be doing an episode on it the week after it, but an episode of News Time the week after. But I just I think the more people that you can retain on one app, the better. Even for the joke is that people who when you're on Netflix, you're like, oh, I just can't find anything to watch. I can't find anything to watch on Prime Video because it's a bad app. Have you tried scrolling through Prime Video? My God, that's my that's how I use the remote. That's how I use the Chromecast with Google TV remote. It's a very tiny remote that is prone to getting disgusting, even if you don't even have anything in your hands. Just prone to getting just gross. And scrolling through that is horrible. But I could definitely see at some point there being if you hear. I chose to record at this time. I set a reminder on my calendar, a Google task. I set a task to start recording at 3. It is 3:30 when I sat down, and this guy started blowing this wind machine outside, gas blower. There's a big issue in Atlanta where a lot of people use those gas blowers, the leaf blowers, at and I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding when I say this. Like 5 a.m. in the morning, sometimes after 11 p.m., sometimes after 10, like a lot of times after 10. And it's a big complaint, and there's people complaining about it, and there's bills to be passed and such. Anyway, there's that. I'm only reminded of that. But and I'm not saying that the best either you merge all the apps or you don't. And I know. If we bring CNN Plus, then HBO Max will have to go up to $20 a month. I'll tell you what, Netflix is already $20 a month, and you better believe that's making me watch it more. $20. Well, I guess I gotta. What is this show? Human Resources. I did want to watch that, so that's what I did watch at 3:00 instead of doing this. So Discovery Plus already costs $5 a month with ads, $7 without, and just merging them, I don't think should raise the prices. HBO Max is $10 with ads and $15 without. And this is just an easier way to bolster subscribers and say we have a lot of people subscribing to us, and you should give us your ad dollars. It's telling subscribers, hey, we can get and retain you guys, but it's also telling the companies that want to work with Netflix, hey, we can also do this too. And that's why, the subscriber numbers matter a lot. But hey, speaking of merging, this other one comes from Jennifer Moss over at Variety. She's over on the acquisition beat, the merger beat. Amazon closes that $8.5 billion acquisition of MGM. It's very true. Last May, Amazon said, we're going to buy MGM. And then people said, MGM's still around? Said, yeah, we make James Bond movies. Oh, okay. Is that James Bond movie coming out? Is COVID still around? Then lo and behold, it still came out. I think that was the first movie I saw in theaters. No, it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't. It wasn't. I've seen other ones before that. I mean, in general, I've never seen a movie in theaters. MGM, buying MGM is bringing 4,000 movies, 17,000 TV episodes, and I don't give a crap about the awards, over there to Prime Video. I don't know when this stuff is going to land, and there's no telling if that's going to have, if Prime Video is going to be the streaming home of the James Bond movies, which are notoriously streaming on across every streaming app. Probably Discovery Plus, Tubi. It's definitely on Pluto. There's a James Bond channel, which is one of the 3 channels I watch on there. Although my favorites, I do have like a stack of favorites. I just tend not to watch anything else. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, did not file a legal challenge before the deadline. And they have not, and so far they have not said anything. However, Jennifer writes, an individual with knowledge of the matter told Variety the FTC does not formally approve transactions. Or challenges them, or we know. That's how it happens. That's what it means. MGM is one of the oldest studios. They got James Bond, Pink Panther, Rocky, and they got a good amount over there. Good amount over there. And so far, within the past couple of years, out of all of the biggest mergers, this is not. It ranks as one of the biggest for television and film, but it's still, for entertainment, but it still is below several others, including Discovery and Scripps Networks, which I used to work for. Scripps Networks. It is did not enjoy it. CBS and Viacom, they're remerging. Warner Media and Discovery, Microsoft and Blizzard, Disney and Fox, and the top one is AT&T and Time Warner, which was a waste of money on AT&T's part. I wonder if this means that Amazon is going to reopen old franchises. They got franchises over there like Silence of the Lamb. I wonder if we're going to see more Poltergeist movies. The latest Poltergeist movie I really enjoyed. The Magnificent Seven, that was them. I think both versions. As well as shows like Fargo, The Handmaid's Tale, and Vikings. Too bad they did not get that Netflix Vikings show. But. Hey, let's move on. Continuing with film, continuing with variety. Pete Saperstein writes, only 7% of movies in the 2021 featured more women than men, study finds. And then here we have is 3 white women on the under the headline here for that picture. Male characters in films continued to heavily outnumber female characters in 2021, according to the latest "It's a Man" world study from Dr. Martha Lausen, executive director of the Center for the Women of Television. For the study of women in television and film at San Diego State University. Oh, well, in San Diego, that's why there's 3 white women on the front. A hefty 85%. A lot of red hats down there. A hefty 85% of films featured more male than female characters, the study found. Male characters outnumbered females by almost 2 to 1, and just 31% of films featured sole female protagonists. Like Queen Pins. Queen Pins is a female protagonist movie. I think about Queen Pins a lot. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was also thinking about Paul Walter Hauser. I'm sorry that I'm going off. I was like, I kept thinking, wow, he's a good actor. And I was trying to think, what movie was he in with, and then it just all led back to Queen Pins. I like Queen Pins. Queen Pins is a good movie. Very fun, very funny. Major female characters in 2021 dropped slightly from 2020, 38% from 38% in 2020 to 35% of major characters last year. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks of the people of color, females, women of color. Black females comprise 16.4% of major female characters, up from 13.2% in 2020. I have a theory on that, and I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to get murdered. In 2021, 60.6% of female characters in speaking roles were white, which is down from 71.0 in 2020. 19.3% were black, up from 16.9. 9.5% were Latina, up from 5.8, and 8.4% were Asian or Asian American, up from 6. 0.3 were Native American, 0.5 were MENA, and 1.4 were of multiple races or ethnicities. And another interesting point that they point out here is that the percentage of major Latina characters doubled, but it seems that the major roles only came in the form of movies like Encanto and In the Heights and West Side Story and Spirit Untamed and Cry Macho. Spirit Untamed, I don't think I ever. That's the remake based on the TV show, based on the animated TV show, based on the live action movies. It's good to see these numbers grow. I think every time there's a study like this, I always point out that they should be growing, but they need to be growing exponentially. I also don't, and I'll just go ahead and say this, I also don't want there to be a white guilt in casting, because they hear something in the news and they go, oh, I feel bad for this race of people, and maybe we should just start casting them. And then when black people are hired to make movies, they're only allowed to make the Black Panther. And when Colombian people are only allowed to make movies, they're only allowed to make Encanto. And oddly enough, it's one of the few things my barber and I agree on. We don't want to see. We're tired of seeing movies about slaves. Essentially, we want to see like he mentioned a show like Power. I've never seen it, but I get the gist of it by watching the trailers of it. We're tired of that, and we want to have movies like The Eyes of Tammy Faye, or and also for other races as well, for Asians and for the Spanish speaking races. And for Native American people as well. Everything I've seen that has involved Native American people has been like Yellowstone. It's about it features the On the Reservation, the other one from Taika Waititi on FX. That one's about a reservation. I just want to. I've noticed an uptick of movies set in the past. And like The Power of the Dog is movies that are set in the past, and they give excuses to having to cast only all white people, all white cast members. Power of the Dog, the show Hacks, that's set in the present, but still, you're telling me in all of Hollywood, they don't, or Vegas, wherever the heck they live, they don't. There's not more than one person of color. Yeah, stop using person of color. I don't like that one that much. Any Hoosers. So yeah, let's open up casting. Let's keep doing it. Come on, baby, let's go. Because speaking of which, this comes from Variety, written by Elsa Kislasi. Diversity on screen drives international audiences, Stars survey says. The reason why there's so many stories from Variety is because I trust Variety. I like them a lot. I like their writers. I like the Hollywood Reporter as well. I think the rap has gone downhill. They're asking me to pay every single time I read an article. I think it's a waste of my time, and I'm not doing that. I have already paid so much for so many of these periodicals. New York Times gets my full amount of money. Wall Street Journal's getting my money. And I give money to NPR sometimes. I'm sick of it. Not everybody can get money. I want a tote bag from the New Yorker. I put one in the wash, and that was a bad idea. Okay. Okay. All right, diversity on screen. So this is an interesting little tidbit I saw. There's a report that came from in partnership with Center for Scholars and Storytellers at UCLA. It was conducted by Stars. Yes, Stars, the premium cable channel / streaming service that is owned by Lionsgate. This is all about. This came from the celebrate a transparency talk from March 16th on celebrating Women's History Month. I took a lot of Women's History Month classes on Peloton, and I'm not saying that that makes me an ally. That makes me help the conversation, but it was very nice to do and nice to have the option to take a class hosted by, or classes rather, hosted by women and listening to great female artists. It was very great. The enlightening report revealed that more than 75% of international audiences want to see multicultural content, especially respondents from Mexico, India, and Cambodia. And let me tell you, each one of them is above 84%. Wanting to see different races and different types of storytelling. Another interesting finding is the large proportion, 64.8% of respondents who said that, quote, seeing people from different groups and backgrounds than their own in TV and media makes them feel more empathy towards others. And that would make sense if I was watching, let's go with Encanto, because that's the only thing I can think of. If I see a movie that takes place in Colombia, it's a real place. It's not space like WALL-E or something. It's a real thing, and I watch that, and I have children, or I have younger siblings, or I have younger cousins, who I was gonna say younger friends, and I just like, why would I be friends with a 10-year-old? But Dennis the Menace. But if they were able to see that and go, well, there's more to life than just white and black. There's more to life than some people really love their family, and that's what Encanto is about. It's a lot about family, or it's a lot about inheriting special gifts and treating yourself specially, and all that jazz that Pixar loves to do in every single movie, like the movie Turning Red, which ended the movie with the joke of "My panda, my choice." And I stood up and I said, "I'm done with this movie." And I finished out. It was literally like the last minute, and I turned it off. And I said, "I hate this movie. It was a bad movie." But it was nice to see, Asian people in leading roles. Even though all the jokes were poor, it's like a DreamWorks movie made by Pixar. And I don't understand why people are only, never mind. I'm gonna stop talking. But diversity on screen is definitely something that we need to push for. And again, I think that goes back to not only, yes, it's wonderful to see stories about someone's culture and everything, but for all intents and purposes, and I know I just made fun of Turning Red, but a lot, like, let's say half of that movie was about the Chinese culture and this red panda and learning about family and all that stuff. But then the other half was just this young girl with a diverse friend group, a fat one, an Indian one, a fat one with an ADD problem, Indian one, and a possible lesbian. They're all hanging out and taking advantage of this girl's gift of being a red panda and being able to turn into a red panda. Surprise, surprise! That's the movie. Go watch it. It's on streaming. It's been a week. If you wanted to see it, you would have seen it. And so that's why, I appreciate diversity on screen. I one time I heard, and I keep thinking about this, during one of the Hollywood Reporter's talks during awards season. And Gerard Carmichael was on one of them, and he said that he doesn't believe, and I'm quoting this, I'm paraphrasing it. He said he doesn't believe it when somebody on screen has a multicultural group of friends. And I just thought, well, I mean, that makes sense for some people, but not for the majority of people. For a lot of people, they have a diverse friend groups, and we have to start, instead of saying, oh, blacks can only make one type of show and they can only star in one type of show, and whites can only make whites can make anything essentially, and Asians can only make one type of show, and they can only date Asians and hang out with Asians, and Indian people can only make one type of show. Like we have to start treating every culture like it's the exact same, and start fighting against our true enemies, which are the aliens and the Russians. All right, let's get to this last story. It comes from just kidding, New York Times, written by Katie Robertson. Dozens of BuzzFeed employees claim they were illegally shortchanged in the IPO. So if you recall, BuzzFeed went public just a bit ago, which meant that the people that were working there when it was private should have made a couple of bucks. But as it turns out, nearly 80 former and current employees of BuzzFeed accused the company in complaints on Tuesday of bungling its stock market debut and denying the workers a chance to sell their shares at a higher price in two claims made to the American Arbitration Association, AAA. Not that one, which resolves disputes out of court. I really like that. It was a really funny one. The employees said the company had failed to properly instruct them on how to trade their shares immediately after the initial public offering in December. I wonder if that means that, and this is just me having some conjecture, some light conjecture. I wonder if that means that they did that on purpose, and from the outside. This is me from the outside. I wonder if that means they did that on purpose in order to make it look like they had more shares, I guess, and make it seem to other investors and to their regular investors that they are doing well. Because I don't think that the BuzzFeed stock is, in fact, doing well. Let's see. BuzzFeed stock trading at not even $5 today. And let me check their year to date. Oh boy. Well, it's not down that much. Highest was 508. Lowest is 470. Now they're at 489. They're asking for compensatory damages estimated at more than $8.7 million, according to claims. BuzzFeed started trading on December 6th of last year, and it dropped 60%. Did not do well. There are 77 employees who have more than 900,000 shares of BuzzFeed stock when it went public. So, this is a guy who only watches CNBC and then does some light reading of stocks online and trades, and who lost a lot of money. I was going to curse, but this is a clean show. Who lost a lot of money within the last year or so. My understanding is, let's say BuzzFeed goes public. I've got 150 shares, and right when that IPO hits, or let's say I worked at Rivian, and Rivian went public last year as well, and I had 150 shares, and they were rumored to be trading at right before the IPO goes $38 or so, and then right before the IPO starts, that number jumps up to 56, and I want to take 100 of those shares and I want to just dump them off so I can make a little bit of change before that, or right when it happens, or right when the IPO drops and it starts trading at 56, and I want to dump off 100 of those shares. I believe that what it seems like is BuzzFeed said, y'all want to trade shares? And they like, all right, well, we'll tell you how. And they never told them. The two claims were filed separately before the American Arbitration Association because a clause in the employees' contracts requires certain disputes to go to arbitration instead of court. BuzzFeed filed for that SPAC. They were valued at this is June last year at $1.5 billion. The company's worth a third of that now. Holy crap! Oh, the camera shut off. Let's turn it back on, baby. Come on, let's go, camera. Sometimes in meetings that camera shuts off when I get to exactly 34 minutes, and right now I did it at 29:55, and you won't believe people's reaction. So now I usually just stop the virtual camera and then I restart it because I'm on a Mac right now instead of having a PC because the PC died. Anyway, BuzzFeed was going to by the time of the merger in December, 94% of over 250 million raised by the SPAC was withdrawn by investors leaving the company with only 16 million. The complaints argued that because of this, BuzzFeed execs had a fiduciary duty to reevaluate the plans to go public. But the IPO went ahead, and BuzzFeed began trading on Nasdaq on December 6th under the ticker symbol BZFD. The employees, the claim said, were looking forward to finally cashing in those shares, but quickly realized that they were unable to do so because they had not been told extra steps were needed to convert their Class B shares before they could sell them. Hey, I was kind of right. Yeah, see, they were just like, BuzzFeed's like, nah, we're helping. It's not associated with what's commonly known as a lockup agreement, which makes you keep your shares for a certain amount of time. Like if you buy into an IPO, instead of selling off your shares immediately so that you could have that money. If Rivian was supposed to trade at 38 and then I bought in the IPO at 38 and then people were so high on it that it started trading at 56, I couldn't sell those shares day one. I have to wait 6 months, which is something I did not do. I did not buy Rivian. I'm not saying I bought the shares and I sold them immediately. That's illegal. No. I did not buy Rivian at all. I should have. Oh, I should have. Hey, but listen, BuzzFeed, this goes back to the New York Times. The New York Times has been steadily trading at between $20 and $25 for the past 50 or 60 or some odd years, or however many years it's been trading at that, and it's never really grown. And I think. I don't know. Oh God, this pisses me off. I'm looking at the top of the article. If you look at the New York Times article, and the picture that they feature has a guy in the back with sunglasses on at the Nasdaq listing, and he has a cardboard sign that he's holding, and it says two-way star, and I think that's a reference to Succession, and it pisses me off to no end. Also, not that many dark-skinned people over there. But anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about before. But, New York Times trading. And so, and to some regard, I obviously cannot speak, for the impetus for this entire company of what Jonah Peretti, the chief executive of BuzzFeed, is thinking, and his board members and all that stuff. But to some extent, I want to say that BuzzFeed is really trying to be this newfound version of New York Times. But even though they have a couple of Pulitzers or a couple of they're a well-clicked site, it doesn't necessarily translate to something that is as trustworthy as Wall Street Journal, New York Times, or even The Atlantic or Vox even. Something that you can take as seriously. And so I think that's where investors really see. I don't know, when you see these companies go public, do they want that influx of money? Like, is that something, because we've seen a lot of, especially unicorns, not do well. They just come and then they're on there, and then there's that maybe initial high, and then they go lower, and then, or if anything, they flatline and then go lower. So yeah, I don't know. What does BuzzFeed want? What does BuzzFeed want out of being public? And then doing this shortchanging of their IPO to their employees. This is what happens when we let millennials do things. Hey, listen. Speaking of millennials doing things, why don't you head on over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there's stuff. It'll be fun. You should definitely check it out. You can also go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy to see a video version of this show. See me sitting in a shirt that says, "My favorite people call me grandpa." Yeah. It was given to me on my birthday a couple years ago by my friends who are not my children. But hey, I love hanging out around kids, I guess. No. Yes. No to that. But yes to the continuing of me doing this. youtube.com/C+Comedy. See a video version of the show, as well as our premiere show, News Time, all caught up. This week's episode is about Disney not saying, or Disney won't say gay. That's what it's called. But Disney's ineffectual statement about the Don't Say Gay bill down in Florida. It's another musical, cold open, so definitely check it out. We Don't Talk About Bruno is now We Don't Talk About Disney, or We Should Talk About Disney, and Let It Go is in there, and How Far I'll Go. It's a medley. Check it out, youtube.com/C+Comedy. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at C+Comedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on the Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe to this show. Wherever you get your podcast, tell your friends, please. I'm tired of talking to myself and the dozen people out here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I love you. Goodbye. Oh, no. This is the second week in a row. I forgot to start up the fourth, whatever.